Hello and welcome to Hexatalk, an industry refresher powered by Hexanica. I'm your host Aditi Iyer, and today we have Yogesh Pandit with us, founder and CEO of Hexanica. Welcome, Yogesh.
Thank you, Aditi. It's an exciting topic that you have selected and get to talk about data again.
The phrase data driven can sometimes feel overused when it comes to the efforts in fintech and banking. And yet, given that a recent survey found that only one third of bankers think that their institution has high degree of data and analytic literacy, it's still an urgent topic and deserves our ongoing attention. So, Yogesh, why do you think it is important for business leaders to be data driven?
Aditi, perhaps we should start with examples, right? If you look at the most successful organizations, fintech or otherwise, uh, most of the organizations have become big because they started focusing on data as an opportunity. Let's take example of the top four companies on Fortune 500. Facebook started generating money when they start capitalizing on the data that they have. Although it's a organization that is focused on connecting people, but how they make money is on data. Same thing with Google. It's a search engine. But when the leaders of Google realized that the data is the opportunity, that's when they started making money. And there are ample such examples, whether you take Amazon, why Amazon has an edge over others is because of data. If you really think about it, they gather data, they connect data so effectively and efficiently compared to others. That's what gives them the edge over others. So if you take fintech as an example, whether you talk about Rocket Mortgage, Lending Club, PayPal, or for that matter, the same players that I spoke to you about, Google Play, Amazon Pay, all these organizations realized that these are traditional services, whether it's mortgage, lending, payments. But the moment you start leveraging data effectively, and when I'm saying not just use of data, and that is what sometimes is misinterpreted when you say data driven, but it also the management of data. How are you managing the data? How the data is flowing through the organizations, how effectively it is getting stored, how effectively it is getting reported or analyzed. All that is data driven. People sometimes misinterpret data means, oh, how can I just use data to get customers? I mean, that is an important aspect of becoming a data-driven organization. But data in financial services, particularly in banks and credit unions, is used in almost every aspect, every function of bank, whether it's operations, you are getting data as documents, you are getting data as transaction files, you are getting data in various ways. You have to perhaps on a daily basis reconcile, you have to balance it out, you have to report, you have to send it to regulators, you have to send it to internal stakeholders, you have to send it to any third parties. It's all data, right? And it's not only the data that is stored and how you are going to use it, but how are you going to manage this data process? How are you going to govern this data? How are you going to use the latest and greatest technologies, such as artificial intelligence or big data? And big data is not only for only big organizations. That technology, big data is perhaps with big organizations, but those technologies are available for smaller technologies also. So when it comes to leadership, banks, credit unions, whether it's mid-sized, regional, smaller community banks, the leaders themselves need to think about data as an opportunity. Data as an opportunity to improve revenue. Data as an opportunity to reduce cost. Data as an opportunity to reduce bottlenecks or hurdles. Data as an opportunity to do better analysis, better reporting. So these are all the aspects of data around leadership and why it is important for leaders, because leaders are the starting point. Once the leaders decide that they want their organization processes, traditional way to be data driven, then they will hire people who have that mindset. Then those people who are hired, they will adopt the latest and greatest technologies that are being leveraged by the fintechs, that are leveraged by, I call it as a new tech, which is Amazon, Google, and others, for their own benefit. And that's why it starts at the leadership level, whether it's at the board, whether it is at executive management, the CEO, COO, or anybody who is in charge of data. Today, if you look at most of the community banks, credit unions, or even mid-sized banks, look at data as a burden. Oh my God, I need to spend money on storing data. I need to spend money on normalizing data. The data that comes to compliance teams, risk teams is not consistent. It is not accurate. It is not complete. It is not so many problems. That I mean by data driven. This all can be easily managed. This all can be easily maintained without data engineers, without need of expensive resources, with the latest and greatest technologies. That's what I mean by data-driven organization. And it starts with leadership.
Very well put, Yogesh. What does it take to become a data driven leader?
So yeah, that's another great question. Uh, it starts with open mindset. Open mindset meaning that sometimes leaders are so married to the way of doing business that they feel that, hey, the way I used to build relationship with my clients in the past is going to work in future. The way I used to manage my business in the past will continue, and I'll be able to do it as long as I get more customers, as long as I increase my revenue. It's okay to do it in the same way that I did in the past. I think that's wrong. That's absolutely wrong. In today's world, if you are, the leaders are not thinking with open mind that how is a company that is not in my community able to attract my customer? How an organization that is its peer, whether it's fintech or any other company, is able to operate more effectively and efficiently? How can I perhaps leverage the technologies that my team has not been used to in the past? And for example, AI, artificial intelligence, it's not easy to adopt unless you feel that there are resources that are data engineers or data scientists, which is very expensive to find. But now there are solutions available in the marketplace. Today, because leaders are depending on the resources that are thinking traditionally, that is a roadblock. Their own people are their roadblocks to adopt data-driven organization. So that openness of leadership, that no, let me hear out, let me feel, let me be comfortable of how I can do certain things without adding more resources, without adding expensive technology, expensive people. That openness is extremely important. And that fear of unknown, that fear of what can go wrong needs to be reduced. It has come to a point that if you don't become data driven, somebody else will, and it is going to eat your business. So open mind, it starts with open mind, perhaps it ends with open mind, but once you have an open mind, getting the right team in place, as I mentioned earlier, and those right team members will get the right technologies and processes. So it's a combination of all these things that will make a data-driven leader.
Very well put, Yogesh. That was quite an interesting session. Do you want to conclude it?
So I think, Aditi, this is a great topic. In fact, my experience suggests that this is the only topic we should focus on, because once the leader signs up, everything else gets signed up automatically. So we should have similar sessions, more sessions in the industry, attract right people who have been successful in adopting data-driven organization, who are open to talking about the challenges that they faced while converting into a data-driven organization from the traditional organization. I think we should continue this discussion, and I look forward to continuing this topic and discussion in future. So thank you for this topic, and let's do more Hexatalks and webinars on this topic.
Definitely. Thank you so much.